Welkom bij de podcast Laat Je Horen. Vanuit cultureel en maatschappelijk podium de Kargadoor aan de Oude Gracht te Utrecht. Mijn naam is Maarten en redactie en techniek zijn in handen van Gratia. En die zit een beetje ver weg, want we hebben vandaag 2 gasten met 2 microfoons. En we hebben maar 3 microfoons. Dus tijdens deze podcast Laat Je Horen gaan we in gesprek met mensen uit de stad die iets te vertellen hebben. En vandaag zijn te gast Agnes en Daan. En het is eigenlijk niet Agnes, maar Agnes.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. And we've got a problem. We've got to do this in English. So let's go. And what is Circulaire? Daan.
Oh.
Agnes. Who? Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Circulaire is pretty much a space that we created here in Utrecht to take the term circular economy and break it down and make it tangible. Because in the moment that I said circular economy right now, I saw your face go from normal expression to what?
Yes.
And that's exactly what we do pretty much. So we noticed that this term circular economy is something that exists in reports and in white papers, and Utrecht wants to be circular by 2050. But if you go out into the streets and if you talk to people, then it's very much an empty term, if people even know about it or have heard it before.
Yeah.
So this is where we step in, and we pretty much want to invite Utrechters to be part of this transition and to actually take their role in this.
So, now I've got a really good question.
Okay.
What is circular economy?
All right. Well, that's a good one. If we want to talk about the circular economy, I think it makes sense to first talk about the linear economy. So everything that is in this room is pretty much produced in a linear manner. So we take resources, we make it into a product, and we throw it out. Like the microphone in front of me is no different. It's exactly produced in the same linear way that depletes our natural resources, and is basically, also an accelerating climate change and many of the problems that we have on the table right now.
Yep.
So circular economy pretty much aims to disrupt this. So instead of using natural resources as a one-time good only, it tries to figure out ways of how we can close loops and use it in a more regenerative manner, using circular principles. Yeah.
But still, there's a lot of theory, and it's quite a big. I do understand what you mean, but then, hey, if I look around, okay, I can. All right. Buy. Well, can you give?
Exactly, and that's exactly where Circulaire comes into play. Yeah. So, for example, at this moment, we're doing a campaign that is trying to mobilize 1,000 Utrechters to get a potted Christmas tree instead of a cut-down one. And the idea with that is, first of all, to create this mindset change that a tree that comes from the forest is not something we will use for 2 weeks, put it in our living room, make it nice and fancy, and then we throw it out. Mm-hmm. No, the idea is to push people to actually think about the end of life of any product. So what will happen to this tree after our lovely Christmas season is over? So we not only educate people on like the problems of the linear system, but we actually give them an alternative. So we say, here's a potted tree, you can get this one, it will still give you the same Christmas feeling and whatnot, but instead of throwing it out after season, we take it, you drop it off at our drop-off point, and then we can bring it back to the soil. And so with this, if you look at, or if you try to visualize this circle in your head, it basically takes a linear model and it bends the curve into a circle. So we make sure that these resources are in flow. Does that make it a bit easier to grasp?
Yeah, and I do this every year because I do have a Christmas tree on the balcony, and it survives already for 6 years.
Hey, really? Wow. Also, you've been reusing a Christmas tree. Well, then look at you. Circle example
1
right
meter
there.
high, but hey.
Nice.
Daan, you know Marktplaats?
We do, yeah.
Is that an example of circular economy?
Yeah, partly it is for sure, because rather than throwing your good just out, you find another person that can use it. Yeah, it's definitely part of it, and it's been proven for years and years that it works. So sometimes it feels like it's something completely new, but in many cases it's actually not.
And you said that Utrecht wants to be completely circularized in 2050.
Mm.
2050 is another 30 years.
Right, but if you look at the goals that they set themselves, it is still quite ambitious. So 30 years is not a lot to change our entire way of working, our social consumption patterns, the way our economy functions. Yeah. It's actually quite the tight roadmap.
Do you see some progress already in how the gemeente is doing it?
Yeah, a bit. They said they've split up the road to 2050 in a couple of milestones. The first one is from 2020 to 2023. One of the things that they want to improve is to provide more space for circular businesses to have an office or to have a production space. So I believe in the Strijkviertel now they've reserved an area for circular businesses, which is one of the steps they're making. They've put the ambition, they've spoken out and written down the ambition to make public buildings more circular these next 3 years, or at least experiment with it. It's very broad, and it's also sometimes still very vague. This is also what we still dive into and also try to make more tangible, because we have the same thing sometimes when we read the report. We're like, but what are you now exactly meaning? Make it more concrete, make it more tangible for regular people like us.
So what can you give me for an advice? Because 2050 is, I might be dead then. And who cares?
Right. But
I do, but...
But maybe you're a bit more the ambitious person, and you say, whatever, I'd try to be there 2030. Maybe I can advise you, try to be circular by 2030 rather than 2050.
Yeah. Well, what can I do tomorrow or today? How can I make it,
Well, I mean, you can start on different levels. If you look at your own house, you can also think about whatever item you bring into your house, what is like the long-term perspective of that? Is there a way that you can opt into something that's, for example, a sharing model, where instead of buying a coffee machine and then 2 years later you don't quite know what to do with it, so you throw it out, you can think about leasing a coffee machine that is then actually already with like a take-back machine, if that's what you call it. So basically they provide you with a service that also takes the end of life into account. So there are lots of things that you can do on many different levels. So if you think about yourself just as a consumer, then these are the steps that you can take. But I mean, we all also work in a place or are surrounded by people where we can just create a sense of awareness for that as well. So is it telling someone to listen to this podcast right now? That can also already drive the acceleration, because it's such a intangible term right now. So unless we don't start talking about it and get an idea for what this actually means, we're never quite going to figure it out till 2050.
No, but with preparing this conversation, I read your website, and I was really surprised with the term, and it made me curious, that you are optimistic.
Yes.
And you both smile. So that's good, because I find it really hard to be optimistic about this subject.
That's a good one. Do you want to?
Yeah, I just started. I thought, I think and I believe that it's important to be optimistic also in messaging. I think when the whole sustainability discussion started, it was very much from a negative point of view, like use less water, drive less of a car, go fly less. And I think there's a group of people that you reach with this message, but this group of people has been reached already. Those people have changed their behavior, but the majority of the people will not change their behavior because they hear negative messages around them. So what I like a lot about the circular economy is that it's a lot more about innovation. So rather than I tell you like, hey, shower less, use less water, the discussion around the circular economy is more like, hey, I've got a very cool shower that is heated with solar energy, you should use it as well. That's more the optimistic thing about the innovations that you see surrounding, and innovations that help move to a more sustainable and circular society.
If I do my groceries, I've got a bag full of plastic, and everything is wrapped in plastic.
100%.
So how can I change that in an optimistic point of view? Do I have to go shopping somewhere else, or?
I mean, you can definitely seek out alternatives. There are not too many right now, but the thing is, we don't necessarily want to shift the whole responsibility on the consumer. So you don't need to be the only driving force to now change the entire supermarket chain and food system. I mean, what individuals can do is push for a different system and demand that from our leaders essentially. But right now, you can seek out alternatives and support the people that are already going that way. So there are supermarkets that try to either cut down packaging or go zero waste altogether.
If I can choose between wrapped into plastic and wrapped into nothing, I'll choose the other thing, but hopefully...
Yeah, and also to tap into your previous questions about the optimism, it's also because there are actually really cool innovations just in the market, but often people are not aware of them. So a role that we also play is to try to connect these circular pioneers, circular businesses more to the consumer, give them a stage, make people aware what's possible, what's already out in the market, because the market is still small and the awareness around the topic is still small, even though the solutions are there.
Do you have examples for like Utrecht, where we can have those options?
As of a product, for example?
Yeah, I think maybe businesses from Utrecht who are into circular economy and doing their part.
Yeah, one that has been mentioned a few times in the media as well, and that's I think is pretty cool. It's called the Click, and they pick up the GFT, the bio waste from the restaurants and some horeca. They bring it back to their station. Then it's separated. You have coffee grounds to grow mushrooms. They collaborate with the fungi factory. They separate the orange peels to grow or to extract
the oils.
The oils, for soaps, for essential oils. And I believe they make from the rest of the waste, they compost it and they use it for their own urban farm, and then what's grown on the urban farm goes back again to the restaurants.
Right.
That's a beautiful example, I think, what's currently happening in Utrecht.
What's happening on the Domplein?
All right. So the Domplein was for us in the very beginning some sort of playground. So we got 2 rooms.
What's the beginning? Is that?
The beginning was us, so 6 people walking into these rooms with a bunch of ideas. So we came with a list of concepts, walk into these rooms, and we basically stood in front of empty walls and asked ourselves, okay, what can we pull off? And so based off that, we started setting up a few things. So for example, the food sharing markets that's been going on for the entire year now, that is something that always took place at the Domplein. Then we had our circular festival at Yes, where we got a bunch of parties and partners on board. We had music, we had the food sharing, and we had our shared wardrobe. So some sort of setup where you could bring in the clothes that you no longer wear. So all the clothes that are lying in the back of your closet, no longer used. We had quite some people during Corona that felt very much like cleaning out their closets. And then so we brought it back into circulation. So we basically shared clothing or resold clothing from Utrechters to Utrechters.
Yeah.
So those were all, this is just like a snippet of some of the things that have been happening.
But you've got a big, is it just an office or you've got a big communal area or something? Or?
We've got two office spaces, and in the building that we are, there's also a huge inn yard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that one of our offices is facing exactly to the dome. So now with the Christmas tree challenge of mobilizing 1,000 Utrechters to replant the tree after Christmas, you just have to watch it. Just go there and see how it looks like. It looks great.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful.
I just
spot.
passed it 3 days ago, and I didn't see you.
No.
Well, then take a closer look. Well, today we changed the setup a bit differently, so it should be popping a bit more the window front.
Yeah.
And you reached so far till 962 or something.
996, I think.
Something,
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there, yeah. It's super awesome, but we should get a lot more. Just to give you a context, like last year, there were 50,000 trees still picked up and thrown away by the municipality. So 1,000 is still only a fraction.
Yeah, I know. So I was surprised with that you only had a goal of 1,000.
Also because last year there were, it's more than almost double from the amount of trees that were replanted last year from Utrechters. So that's why I think doubling the number is still quite ambitious.
Exactly.
That's why.
So you're gonna reach for 1,500 or something. No.
We will for now. Yes.
That's the goal.
We have
I can buy a Christmas tree at yours.
Exactly. Yeah. You just order it online and then you can pick it up at our pickup point next Saturday. Actually. Yeah. We're fully decked out in Santa costumes and whatnot. So maybe you saw Daan was the one in the bakfiets last week driving around the city.
Oh, you should ho ho ho.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
that was you.
Yes. Yeah. We delivered the trees at the doors of the Utrechters ordered the delivery service as well. So we went on bakfiets in the Santa outfit and brought it at the doors.
And we had lots of kids telling you their Christmas wishes.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Hey, Santa, PlayStation 5, please. Great, yeah.
It's not circular, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Well put.
Yeah. Okay, and then I can bring it back in January somewhere.
The 9th. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there enough awareness in Utrecht? No. And how can you? Do you have any goals or for the next? Well, for let's say next year.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when you ask, is there enough awareness? Awareness is difficult to measure. What we would like to push for is not only awareness, but also offer you alternatives. Because it doesn't just help me if you walk away with, oh, circular economy is cool. I would want you to take concrete steps, and that's what we're trying to do to make it, just a tiny bit more tangible, I guess. So in terms of goals, I guess what we're working towards right now is easiest described if you look at it in terms of software and hardware. So we're trying to set up our software, which is a year-round program and consisting of events and campaigns to spark this interest, to create some sort of appetite around the topic and make people wanting to opt in. So that's something that's been going on since last year already, and we're just rolling this out in a more sophisticated and more concise scheme over the next year. And then the second part is the hardware. So we do really believe that it's super beneficial if there is a go-to point or place for all things circularity, basically. So while we're currently at the Domplein, we're looking for a new location where we can actually show circularity in action, where we can close loops on site, where we can bring you in, and when you ask what circular economy, I don't have to talk about it, I can show you. So that's basically the goal. So to get Utrechters from two sides, I guess. Yeah. And then software and hardware coming together would be the ultimate circle that.
And are you still with the 6 of you, or?
We are, correct.
And you're all volunteers?
No, it's our organization. Yeah.
So this is your
business, yeah.
Yep.
For all of you?
Yes.
All 6?
Correct.
Full time?
No, sometimes yeah, sometimes no. But usually, yeah.
Wow.
So the goal for us is also to not portray ourselves as a fun initiative. It's that circularity can be a sustainable business as well, that you can make it work and get a living off of that.
It's actually for me very interesting because you guys took those 250 goals for Utrecht and you're kind of doing their job as well, maybe?
We do a bit, yeah, and it's also because the municipality only has 1 FTE on the circular economy job.
Right.
Oh, you have to say that again.
1 FTE. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it goes very slow.
Yeah.
So that's where they need a helping hand, but it's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
So do you get any funding?
Well, not directly from. Not directly from the municipality. No, we don't.
You should go and ask.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys doing those.
But you're doing their job. Come on.
Yeah. Well, you're referencing those goals directly on your website, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that.
Yeah. We've been looking into whether a municipality building should fit our hardware,
Exactly.
because it also ties into their goal to make the municipality buildings more circular. It's a beautiful match, obviously, but we haven't really found common grounds yet in this. But we are in discussion with. We have been talking with a few of them about this issue too.
Okay.
Yeah, but good that you remind us again.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
So there's hope.
Yeah. Well, we will continue anyway. We don't want to wait for the municipality. We just want to continue. For example, the plan that they had from 2020-2023, it was proposed, I believe, a year ago, and they accepted it a month ago. So that's insane how long that takes.
There's a lot of paperwork.
Right, and everybody wants to pee over it. That we would say, right? Yeah.
Any plans for 2021 already for events coming up or something?
There's quite some stuff in the pipeline, not too many things yet that are 100% set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right now we did shift quite some manpower over to the hardware side of things because the software is something, or the programming, something that really worked well. Something we also learned now with the Christmas campaign, the Kerstboom, that this campaign, the tool of a campaign is also very powerful means to get people engaged, because this whole setting ourselves a goal of reaching 1,000 Utrechters had this aspect of crowd action to it. So it's not like, well, if I get a different tree, what will it matter? But creating this unifying campaign. So we're also planning to do a similar campaign around organic waste and organic waste segregation, but also in community composting and thinking along those lines in form of a campaign. So stuff like that will be coming up. and hopefully opening our physical place in 2021. Let's see.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how can we end? How can we end this podcast with giving a good, sort of a positive thumbs up thing to do in the next, maybe Christmas period or something?
Or 2021 resolutions for people to be more circular, maybe?
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's difficult giving you like one thing. I can give you a list of things. I wonder if I can take the what can I do and turn it into a come by circle that, and we'll figure it out together.
What can we and I do to be more circular?
That's a very big question, and I'm gonna try my best to answer this one.
Yep.
Well, but basically you can just come by circle that and let us figure it out together. So we are on this journey of trying to create a circular hub here in Utrecht, and we need all kinds of manpower, but also brain power and creative thinking that we can basically get our hands on. So it really doesn't matter what type of sector you're working in right now, everything can feed into creating a circular hub. So if you feel like that is something you would love to help create, then just get in touch and let's do it together. Because circularity at the end of the day is all about collaboration, because you can't really change the system if you don't start on different points in the system. So yeah, it's basically get together and circle that. Oh, that was cheesy.
So in it.
That was cheesy, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
You too.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Ik sluit het nog even af, want dat is het voor nu. We zijn 2 wekelijks op woensdag met een nieuwe aflevering van de podcast Laat Je Horen. Kargadoor Podium aan de Oudegracht 36 bestaat al 62 jaar, zonder structurele subsidie. Inkomsten komen uit het verhuren van podia, zalen en horeca. Maar dat zal het komende jaar wat minder zijn, gezien corona. We hebben een grote groep vrijwilligers betrokken, 6 dagen per week, van vroeg tot middernacht. Zie kargadoor.nl voor programma, agenda, verhuur en nog heel veel meer. Bedankt voor het luisteren en graag tot de volgende podcast.